This is Stuart Smith from STUARTIZM Designs. We are going to do some hot facade action today. This project was completed 2 years ago at the Field of Screams in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It was hot there, horrible. Paint dried fast though. That's not a bad thing, doing the summertime thing there in Pennsylvania. High humidity, high heat, makes for a really sweaty Stewie, and paint dry in midair. It was fantastic. It worked out well. We used exterior flat white for the facade, not knowing whether this thing would be out in the weather or not. Just FYI, if it's exposed anything to the outside, we're going to want to use exterior primer. This was created primarily for making sure the clients saw that it was there and would throw down the cash. I think it was going to be sold as a separate attraction and want to draw their interest. This 8x48 wall was just going to be staring at the midway where the customers were mingling between other haunted houses, and so we want to attract them. Also, we want to go with large format images rather than small little ones. Depending how close they can get to it, we want to make sure these people can see this thing from far away. So across a field or what have you, they can see this thing and it's recognizable and will draw attention, and that's what our main focus of doing a facade is to draw all that gee whiz, I want to get some money and throw her down. Ethel, get my billfold, you know, that sort of thing, because we're going through the 3D. Yes, sir. Ethel, she's got the cash, you know, so. Also, depending on when they're going to run this haunted house, we want to make sure that this looks good, whether in the day and at night. So I painted this thing during the day. Gene had skylights in the warehouse, and so it was very difficult to do anything, you know, in the total black light until the sun went down, which was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I normally was out there by 8. So we wanted to make sure that this thing looks great during the day to attract customers, and just as good, if not better, at night when the black lights were doing their job. I also want to point out something to you guys. We made this thing up out of our heads. Well, I did. I went on this trip by myself. You don't have time for sketches. There's no time for sketching on the wall or anything of that nature. You have to sit there and move. And so we just threw paint on the, well, I always say we because my wife and I are tied at the hip, so just take that at it. I threw the paint down, got in the morning at 7 o'clock and just conquered. A lot of artists need to really work on it, be able to go in and just paint away rather than spending a bunch of time and trying to get sketches on the wall. I mean, I have some competitors who will spend 3 days doing the sketching before they ever put a stitch of paint on the wall. And in 3 or 4 days, I'm done with the project. I also kept in mind of all the stuff that I was painting inside the 3D maze. We do not want to give a false narrative to the clients who are going to be coming down and throwing down the hard cash. So we want to make sure that what we're placing on the facade is somewhat matching up with what's going on the inside. Drying time. This thing, especially the 8x48, took me 4.5 hours to do. And one of the primary things about that helped that happen was the heat. Even though it was humid, I was in a warehouse where it was almost like an oven with the sun beating on it all day, metal structure, and it just cooked that paint right on the walls. You could actually see the steam rolling out of my paint cans from being in there, and you could see it literally steaming off the walls. There was an area inside the 3D maze that had pipes, and I actually burned myself on my arm with those pipes because it was brutal. It was a little airbrushing war wound, you know. So this facade was broken up into 4 different sections: front, back. There was a side area, and then 2 smaller areas in the front where the customers entered. And you see that also I had a triangular piece that was a top cap for the facade. Too hard to paint where it was. They dismantled it, brought it down for me, so I was able to paint it there. And that just adds so much more to the haunted house. I think they were going to put plastic or something over the top of it. I was unaware there was going to be in a tent, but she worked out really well to be to have an awesome facade cap rather than just, you know, 4x8 walls. Fun project to do, and give it a shot. I know it's kind of weird to hear, you know, hey, look, it only took me 4.5 hours to do this particular facade piece, but when you're doing it as long as I have, it just gets to be old hats. So need you to just work hard at it, and at some point in time, just having the airbrush in your hand will be no big deal, and you won't even cry. When I first started to walk into a building and see that I had 2,000 square feet, I mean, I was scared crapless, but we got her done, and so many years later, it's like, oh, 2,000 square feet, okay, I'll be done tomorrow, okay, and it's par for the course when it comes to how long you've been doing it. So again, to make it fast, all the colors and the primer were placed on with an automotive spray gun. And then, of course, the detail was done with the Pasha VL number 3 using flat black Rust-Oleum. And highlights are all just straight out of the gun, day glow. Okay, so also, as you noticed from the last video, that there was also the cleaning up of the Stewie glow, all your overspray to get a nice staunch image on the wall before we do our ghosting that will force the images forward and just add all sorts of neat elements to say we have a fully painted wall all the way across. And also I want you to see how much black was left even though I ghosted over it. We're going negative positive here. If you have black areas in your 3D maze, and I'm saying black is you might have ghosted over it, but you didn't go heavy on it, eyes will sit there and see the colors far more brightly if there is a negative area in around it. Black is negative, the colors are positive, and it really makes them spark when the eye can see some contrast. So thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the transitions, and hey, go paint yourself a facade. Subscribe if you could. Leave some comments, questions. Some of you already have, and it's fantastic. And we'll see you in the next video. Y'all get some painting done. God bless.